All right. Unfortunately, we got some news here that we're going to talk about.
Oh, better fire through. We're at hour 50 right now.
Seth Davis, a source told The Athletic with direct knowledge, Louisville coach Chris Mack and the school are in final stages of negotiations for a separation agreement. This is happening. It's done. It's donezo. How did this fail? Let's just go for it. Let's do it now. That way we don't have to do it next week. How did the Chris Mack era at Louisville go?
Because the Chris Mack era at Xavier, he always seemed like the candidate of going back down the road, didn't have to move, could bring a system in there, hired the right staff. I thought when he got there, recruited at a high level, brought in some McDonald's All-Americans, had Malik Williams, had Sam Williamson. I thought the pieces were there to do it. It hasn't, and as you know, and the expectation on not just winning, but winning and succeeding in the NCAA tournament is paramount at a place like Louisville, especially when you're battling Kentucky every year. So when you have that, you have some off-court issues, you have some stuff with assistants leaving and people getting fired. The tolerance level is not there for the product on the court isn't good enough either.
So this year is a disaster. There's not like this is an unmitigated disaster. They did a really poor job of identifying guard talent this year, which not great, right? The offense looks terrible. They can't initiate sets. I don't even love what they're running. Like, I don't know what they're running half the time. I watch them.
Hard watch.
It's a really bad watch. A lot of their offense over Chris Mack's time as a coach has been, influenced, let's say, by Luke Murray, who left the staff last year and is now at Connecticut. Connecticut has a top 25 offense in the country, despite the fact they lost James Bouknight. They have a better offense this year, despite losing a lottery pick and having one ball handler on the court at once, because Connecticut runs really good stuff and figures out how to get offense. On top of that, Luke Murray worked with the guards a lot. And I think that losing Luke was probably a bad choice for Chris. And that was obviously, along with Dino Gaudio, that whole situation, which resulted in Chris Mack being suspended for 6 games to start the year. I think that the way he handled that situation last year with the assistants was disastrous. There's just not another way to put it. You lose 2 guys that you're very close with who have just not done a good enough, who have done a good job by you, I would say. Luke Murray brought in a lot of the kids that Chris Mack, coached at Louisville and at Xavier. So that wasn't great. His substitution patterns over his time this year at Louisville, it's clear he's searching. It's clear that
that's took words in my mouth. Yeah.
He doesn't know what to do. And I get it on some level, but it's over the last 5 games, no single lineup has played more than 5% of Louisville's minutes. That is crazy. Think about that. 5% of a game. 5% of a game is how many minutes? It's 1/20th of the game. It's 2 minutes.
Yeah, you're the smart guy, not me, mathematically. So.
No single lineup has played more than 10 minutes together over the last 5 games.
That's the epitome of searching, though. I mean, you look at his 4 years there. First 2 years, promising. 2014, 24.
They were ranked number 1 in the country at one point.
Yes,
they were ranked number 1 in the country at one point.
Yes, and then the last 2 years, 13-7, now 11-9, where Louisville expects kind of like Elite 8 caliber-ish stuff. With it, just you can't have it all those ways. You can't have that plus the assistant stuff leaving, plus you're losing. It's just something's got to give at some point. I think you called it out. The fan base turned very quickly, and when you do that, it's pretty much over. There's no turning back the tide. They ripped off 15 straight wins. We could still be sitting in the same position March 10th. So if you're ripping off the Band-Aid now for both parties, it clearly wasn't working. You can tell in press conferences it wasn't working. Make the not clean break, but the break now, and it kind of gives Louisville a little bit of a head start in saying we're going to find our guy. We have all this time now to get ahead of it and probably find or try to find the best candidate. So even active sitting head coaches in college basketball see that, and maybe that's enticing, and they put out their feelers and see if there's any mutual interest too.
The other thing I want to note here is nobody has gotten better on this roster. Samuel Williamson was a McDonald's All-American. He hasn't gotten any better since
Loved
he's
him
been
out of
there,
high school.
especially this year.
Yep.
Like this year, he's the same player, if not worse. Dre Davis, he's from Indianapolis, if I remember correctly. I really liked him last year. I was really impressed with like him as a potential role player starter. He hasn't gotten any better this year. And like he's playing less minutes than he did last year when I thought he was actually pretty good. Like I don't really know why he's playing less minutes.
Yep.
I don't think Malik Williams has really gotten much better, to be honest. Like
he had some comment last week. Like, is there a disconnect? That I have no comment on that. It's like that's the disconnect. If you say if someone
have
asks,
you seen the video of that?
I haven't. I just saw a tweet.
I mean, he pauses for like 8 seconds, and it's clear that like there's a lot going through his mind. He's like trying to figure out what to say, and he decides to no comment it. But like, oh boy, it was a bad look. But yeah, the guy's just like Jalen Withers. Like Jalen Withers looked pretty useful last year. He looks like at sea right now in terms of what's going on. So.
And I don't know. Look, they probably miss Carlik Jones too. Carlik Jones is really good. Like they
I'm sure they do.
They probably miss having him too.
But again, though, that comes back like they evaluated properly the guard position that year and brought in Carlik. Didn't evaluate it well this year. And they like, when was the last time they brought in a freshman point guard to grow with the roster and like continue to develop? Like, I mean, David Johnson, I guess, but like David Johnson was always going to go there. And David Johnson was more of like a secondary ball handler at Louisville. Yeah, I don't know. It's not good. It was not, it didn't go well. The fan base had totally turned. Like I've been searching Chris Mack's name after games on Twitter during this streak, and it was just clear that they were done.
Yeah, and attendance.
I was just curious.
They have a rabid fan base. They do. Like it's not called the Papa John Center anymore, but
the Yum Center.
Yum Center. That's right. I played at Freedom Hall when Coach Pitino was there. We won. But like that was a great win for Travis Ford. Rick Pitino coached him. My point is this. Like they care so much there that like you can get it rocking. That's still a great job. That's a pro college team in the sense that like they take it as seriously as they would an NBA team. That's their program. They want to win. They want to beat Kentucky. They want to be at the top of the league. So I get it. You can't go 11-9 and 13-7. That's the break sometimes. No,
that's 100% right. Just like as easily as Louisville can pay a coach, this is something I talked about on the Eye on College Basketball podcast with Gary Parrish and Matt Norlander this week. Like just as easily as a Louisville can keep Rick Pitino for $7 million a year, $8 million a year, they can get a buyout real quick for a coach that isn't working because people care that much about the school and care that much about basketball there. You can't lose to Pitt. You can't lose to Pitt. Coached by Jeff Capel. You can't lose to this team.
Fields fan even saying this. This is
how we've gotten. Listen, they've lost to Furman, DePaul, Western Kentucky, an NC State team ranked outside the top 100.
DePaul's good this year, but I get it.
DePaul is good this year. DePaul is ranked 103rd in KenPom right now.
They're good.
And they lost to Pitt. They lost to Pitt.
That was the end of it. Yeah.
That's what it comes down to. And you can't do that. It's unfortunate that it ended this way. The whole thing seems very unfortunate, but the other thing is that I think that here's another part of this, that the fan base turns on you. The fan base turns on you when you start like going into press conferences and like acting like you didn't say what you said in terms of like, has the team, do you know what motivates the team? I think was the quote. Like, I don't know what motivates these guys. And then the next press conference he goes in and is like, did I say that? You should know the quote. Like, you're the one quoting it. And it's just like, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing this? What's the point here? There's just
that's when you know it's the end of the road. When you start addressing stuff like that, everyone knows. Everyone knew it was over. People thought it was going to make it to the end of the year. It escalated rapidly and quickly. We were talking about it before we started recording. Like, does this happen today? Did we talk about it now? We mentioned it earlier, and 2 hours later, here we are.
Yeah. No one likes to see this when it happens. Louisville fans, I think, are probably pretty happy, to be honest. I think Louisville fans are very happy that the university seems like they're just pulling the Band-Aid off and finishing this, and we're going to be on to a new
on to more unrealistic expectations of the head coach. So we should put Brad Stevens at the top of the list, and we'll go down from there.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think they're going to make
swings.
Probably look.
They're gonna swing. I'm don't want to say names.
Yeah, they're going to swing. Let's say that they're going to go for
Let's
big.
Not
swings.
Get ourselves in trouble. They're going to swing.
Yeah, I'm not going to name names, but like I would imagine that they're going to take a big swing on 3 or 4 guys, and maybe they get them. Like, we'll see where it goes. Louisville can pay a crazy amount of money, and the fan base is great. You can build the best program in the country at Louisville. That's what I'll close on.
Yeah, they have won a national championship. They've done a couple national championships.
I genuinely believe that if you get the right coach in there, given the resources, given everything they put into that program, you can build the best program in college basketball at Louisville. And when the results are not making the NCAA tournament 2 years in a row and everything, it's probably time to move on.